Hello, this is Clifford Dove. This is my first big video after messing around a little bit back in the winter for Live from America. We are going to go over various things, politics. I'm actually going to like to do, a friend of mine discuss Charles Kuralt. I'm going to try to meet some interesting people on the way too, but we're going to start here. There's a little bit about the politics of today. Today I'm shooting from George Washington National Forest in Shenandoah County. Just periphery of Shenandoah County. We'll try to do these different locations for as long as the weather holds out. Kind of a chilly day here today. Anyways, it is Tuesday. It's October 31st. It's Halloween, and the Halloween trick-or-treat thing started yesterday when the Mueller situation, the special counsel, decided to go ahead and throw some charges out there, and those charges were placed on Paul Manafort and Gates, his associate, and also George Papadopoulos. Also came out that he basically been essentially pled guilty to basically kind of lying about timing on stuff. The interesting part about this is Paul Manafort, which everyone kind of knew was different kind of dude. Basically, he worked with Yanukovych, the ex-president of the Ukraine. Basically, he was a Russian stooge, essentially. Got kicked out several years ago, of course, so you've had that ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine ever since. Anyways, it didn't have anything to do with President Trump in the slightest. It may be some effort to try to wiggle out something out of Paul Manafort. Unfortunately, what it looks like is going to happen is essentially nothing. It doesn't look like anything illegal happened, and I want to point that out too, since most people who know me know I did not vote for President Trump in the fall. I'm a lifelong Republican. I personally couldn't do it. It just wasn't someone I voted for, and it's quite a bit of a dumpster fire, and I think most people, if they're being honest, would agree with that assumption. However, in this situation, this seems almost like the papers are rooting for something to happen with Donald Trump. It's kind of weird. If you go back to President Obama, you can go back many presidents and find little issues along the way that were questionable, but the Russia collusion thing is, even if it's true, it's not against the law. Opposition research is a thing. Russia's meddled in our elections before. They meddled in our elections back in the Soviet Union. There used to be rumors that President Kennedy was kind of helped along the way by the Soviets, which is the other side of that is he was an ardent anti-communist. So sorry, Soviet Union, you lost in that one too. As he, of course, we all know if you've read your history, the Cuban Missile Crisis basically pushed Nikita Khrushchev, and Khrushchev had to back down on the missiles in Cuba, and they were sent back to the Soviet Union. Bay of Pigs notwithstanding. Read your books, people. Read your history. It doesn't seem like we do too much of that anymore. What bothers me is generally the hatred. There's a lot of hatred that goes on about just politics in general. People who either didn't follow it much or something like that, getting really into it, but not understanding all the idiosyncrasies of what goes on with the government, how it works, how Congress works, how the executive branch works, the legislative branch, Congress works, how the judicial branch works, and sometimes it even seems like people in it don't really understand. What this gets down to is the people on the left in this general hatred for everything Trump. And well, personally, I can understand that. I don't like the man. I'm not a fan of him. I'm kind of a bore and really a poor politician to begin with, but man, that's what people voted for. He won the election fair and square. You can look at the Russian stuff. It goes on both sides. Hillary Clinton and the uranium deal, and him hiring Paul Manafort for some God knows reason why. Either way, it's on both sides. So what you have is people on the left, and they're working really hard to basically force someone out, which is very fascist. I don't like it at all. When I was growing up, I was one of those game board throwers. You know, you'd sit there, you'd lose Monopoly, boom, throw the game board out, act basically like, well, what I was, a child. And that's what the left seems to be really involved in here, is acting like a child. You lost the election. It's been said multiple times. Trump won Wisconsin with less votes than Mitt Romney had when he lost Wisconsin in 2012. People did not show up for either of these candidates, but less people showed up more to avoid Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton wasn't likable in her own party. Not a likable person. Her husband, one of the greatest politicians of our time, warned her, hey, you should go to these states. You should go to Wisconsin. You should go to Pennsylvania. She didn't listen. She didn't listen to the politician, the expert of politics, like her husband was, and she lost. So we have here's a constant belly aching and whining over Russia, over, well, he says mean things. We nitpick every little detail of everything he says to the point of annoyance. And it's like a 6-year-old throwing a game board because they lost the game of life. You lost the election, you have to get over it. There's elections next year for Congress. 2 years after that, there's another election for President of the United States. You move on with life. This constant belly aching and moaning and rooting for someone to fail. There's some of that said back in with Obama when Rush Limbaugh said they basically essentially wish for the policies to fail. But we're not talking about policies here. We're wishing personally for this man to fail. He's our president, like it or not, and there's a lot of it I don't like. He's our president, so you at least show some modicum of respect and not sit there and jump on someone without any sort of evidence every 2 seconds, belly aching because your woman lost the election. She lost the election. Nothing's going to change that. 2016, Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump. And I don't care about the popular vote. It's not the way we run this country. There's a reason why. Because we don't want to spend time having Los Angeles, New York City, Houston deciding elections for all of us, especially here in Virginia, where we see a little bit of that now. Because, of course, governor race, stuff like that, we're not popular vote. We don't separate that out by county. So now Northern Virginia basically speaks for all of Virginia, including here in Shenandoah County, which is big Trump territory. So is my home county, Frederick County. Basically, it's all about who shows up in Northern Virginia. So like next week we'll deal with the election between Ed Gillespie and Ralph Northam. It's close, but signs probably point to Ralph Northam as long as enough people show up in Northern Virginia that he should probably pull that off. The way the thing's been going here in Virginia for quite a while. But the main thing here is I want my friends on the left to understand you can't walk around constantly acting like a spoiled loser. It looks bad. You're going to have to accept the fact that Hillary Clinton lost the election in 2016, and you got to hope that your party puts up someone better than Trump. Shouldn't be too hard, you would think. However, y'all seem to be siding with Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren. Kamala Harris, who's about as smart as a squirrel crossing the road in heavy traffic, and you've got Elizabeth Warren, who is the female version of Bernie Sanders, and essentially would probably want to walk down through Red Square during communism because she enjoys that sort of thing. The rest of America doesn't believe in that. This whole concept of hatred that comes out of the left, the Antifa people, stuff like that, and we want to talk about Nazis, who are an extremely small group, and no one likes them. No one on the right likes them. No one on the left likes them. I don't know why we continuously shove in the concept of Nazi. Just because these people are sitting on a beanbag eating Cheetos in their mother's house, why do we care about those 400, 500 people? When we got Antifa running around basically throwing punches and hitting people because they disagree with them. It's not right. It doesn't matter what side you're on. You don't hit people you disagree with. You don't hate people you disagree with. You talk to them and you love them as best you can. Things have got to change in this country if we're going to succeed as a people. This hatred is just, it keeps increasing and growing and growing and growing, and I'm tired of it. I've had friends on the Trump end that I don't talk to anymore. I have friends on the liberal end I can barely handle because of the constant stuff, and it's like, I used to be closer to all these people. Why are we like this? Why can't we just agree to disagree and be friendly with those that we may disagree with? But I'm hoping that America changes. I'm hoping it changes where we can start getting along again and really embracing the things that we enjoy together as a group, be it football, which is falling apart, baseball, out here in the country, just enjoying life in general without judging others and treating them poorly. The rule is, don't be a poor loser. Accept your friends, accept people on all sides. There's a varying range from me, who's more like center right, as it would be Reagan Republican, Bush kind of Republican, all the way out to the far right. Then you go out to the left, and you got the people center left, and then you have the people way out there on the communist end on the far left. But you accept these people, and we try to work together as a team. 50 states, lots of people in this country. We've got to do a lot better than what we're doing, because this doesn't work. Let President Trump do or show what he needs to show. If he fails, he fails on his own accord. You can't shove people out of office just because you don't like them there, just because your person lost. And I'll go the other way if Trump loses in 2020 on my side. Don't just throw people out there. Look, I did not like Obama. I spent 8 years with that man as my president, but I still respected him as my president. I did not agree with his policies, and I wanted his policies to fail like they do. Like we've seen with Obamacare, as it falls down, the ACA, not successful. This is what we want to see. I want people to respect the president again. Like, Obama's a good family man. I don't think anyone judges on that basis. He seemed like a really decent guy. He just, in my opinion, he was wrong. He was just wrong. Looking at Trump, yes, he's a boisterous, obnoxious, should lay off the Twitter feed, but just kind of respect the office. Like I tell my 6-year-old son, you respect the man in it, you respect the office as best you can. Beyond that, it's pretty much all up to God. It's all up to us to choose, frankly, better people. I mean, this is 2 consecutive presidents who are very much on the fringe, so to speak. Obama not as much as Trump. It's like we ventured far from the Bushes, from the Reagans, from the Clinton. I'm talking Bill here. We moved so far from this that it really amazes me how separate we become. And I say it a bunch of times already, but we really need to come together and I don't know, pick smarter candidates, pick smarter people. We found out politicians do politician things. Just throwing people out there just because they can doesn't work. So I'd like to see people really understand how this country works. Pick up books, read about the history of this country. Don't demean it, read it. Read the history of this country. Read civics. Understand what Congress's job is. Understand what the executive branch's job is, the president. Understand the judicial side of the job. We fail because we don't understand. We choose not to read. We choose not to understand how this country is run. So we turn the presidency into some sort of demigod, which was never the plan anyways. If you, especially like you'd read a little bit about Calvin Coolidge, people like him who kind of had I guess call it laissez-faire, but a way of running the presidency where they were there when they were needed. They didn't shove themselves out there when they weren't. There wasn't a constant reference to the president like we've had probably with the last, honestly going back probably to, I'd say FDR, where the president's always out there. I'd like to see it kind of switch back to that. The president has certain jobs, Congress has certain jobs, the judicial has certain jobs, and we need to understand, but it starts with us, the people. You don't like people being picked for president, blame us. It's our fault. It's not their fault. The people we put in there are representative of what we believe in. You don't like Ted Cruz, his representatives voted him in. That's who they like. Don't like Donald Trump, the people that voted for him, that's what they claim to like, and we've seen it. We've seen it. We've experienced the fun little dumpster fire that has been the Trump presidency so far. Where honestly he can't get things passed because he tweets about them, and then that's used against him. So I know I ramble on. I don't typically want to ramble on these videos, but I wanted to start out with this. Again, just kind of discuss what we're going to do. I'll do a few more videos kind of like this on the political side of it, but I really would like to maybe interview some people out and about in this area. If you know people I should talk to, leave them in the comments. Just tell me, message me on all my different platforms here. like to meet with some mayors in the area, maybe some of your local representatives, interview them, discuss with them what their policies are, and help you determine what you want representing you, and just to get to know some of the people. And I also want to get to out there and meet people with interesting stories, just different kind of people. Take you to different places here in the Shenandoah Valley so you can see what a beautiful area we have. I mean, look behind you. This is the great part of Virginia here. I love the state. It's where I've born and raised, in Winchester, Virginia. I live in Stevens City now, just a couple minutes south of Winchester. It's a wonderful place. I really hope you keep tuning in. You have suggestions, that's fine. Want to be a hater, that's fine, don't care on that. We'll get better at this. I'm still learning editing program stuff like that, so this might get choppy until I figure that out. But again, really, I did this just I want my friends on the left to understand that what you're doing isn't helping. The hatred doesn't help any. You want Trump out, you do what you can. You elect the people that you want, put up better candidates, and things can change next year in 2018. They can change in 2020. It's one of the great things about this nation. We get to vote for our representatives. It's wonderful. Embrace everything from the electoral college on down, history all the way down. That's another thing I could spend another 30 minutes on, is this disdain for history. I was reading in the paper on the internet as well about a church that George Washington went to, where they were moving a plaque honoring him because people might be offended by it, which is dumb. I can't see that. We can have our disagreements over Civil War and all that stuff, but our history is our history. It occurs here, occurs everywhere. Read about it, enjoy it. Ain't no point getting crazy about it, people. This is America, and we're live from America, and we'll see you again real soon. Thank you, and have a great day.